everybody, it's Kimberly Bean with the Southern Maryland Real Estate Network and Exit Landmark Realty.
And this is Anna Jones with Exit Landmark.
And our special guest today is Connie Foote with Foote Title Group.
Hi everybody, Connie Foote here.
So what we want to talk about today is settlements. The general public, just about the home buying process in general. And you know, we're all striving to get to the end result, and that's settlement and the keys to your house. So what we wanted to ask you, Connie, was if you could talk a little bit about sort of what the role is of the title company.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about Foote Title Group first, if you don't mind.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. Thanks for having me too. I really appreciate it, more than I can say. And you know, this year Foote Title Group is actually 30 years old.
Wow.
So we've been doing this for a long time. You know, a lot of companies talk about how long they've been around, but for us, it's all about the passion of taking care of those homeowners. There's so much that goes into buying a home, and it's so overwhelming that we try to make sure that you as the real estate agents and also the lenders, but particularly the homeowners and sellers, home buyers and sellers, know what's going on. They understand what's going on. The process is simple because it's not. It's a lot that goes into it. So we work really hard to do that, and we're real passionate about making sure that that happens. Foote Title Group is a family-owned business. My mom and I started it 30 years ago, and my mom retired 10 years ago.
That's impossible, right?
And this is the truth because her mother did my very first settlement.
Really?
I didn't know that. Thank you. That's
And
wonderful.
I will say that how I feel, your mother at that settlement was so amazing, and how she made me feel so comfortable, and so, I mean, I can't begin to tell you. I'm serious.
Thank you.
Made such
That's
an impression
awesome.
on me, and so if she was like that, I know she passed it on to her daughter. So that's a big deal. It
Well,
really
thanks.
is.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Well, you know, we talk about, you know, what we do and why we do it all of the time. And the reason that I got into this, you know, you don't wake up and go, oh, I want to be in a title, work for a title company or own a title company. And my mom actually worked for a national company, real estate development company, and did title work, and finally said, you know, I want to do this for myself. Right. And right before she started the company, I bought my first house, and it was a horrible experience. Thank God I had my mom who knew what to do. But you know, we had to go up to Rockville, so we had to go, you know, an hour and a half away. We sat there for 3 hours and with no information whatsoever.
Wow.
And it was just, it really was a paper pushing machine. And all I could do was just sit and pray for the keys and get the heck out of there.
Right.
And the scary part about that is, what happens if something happens after closing? What do? You don't even want to call those people because you don't even know.
Right.
So that was my turning point, that, you know, if I'm going to do something that means something, you know, here we're already on this mission, and here's where I'm going, you know. And so that's what I think about and worry about every day is, what does that person at that table feel like? And you guys, you know, you're dealing with so many nuances to the business.
Right.
So it's our passion.
And you just said something that's real important. Sometimes I believe people want to feel, I can go back. Like if I had a question, I felt that with your mother, and I definitely feel it with all of you guys, is if I have a question, even as just a buyer, I would not have a problem calling you guys and saying, hey, but some of these big corporation title companies, it's like, you don't even know who to ask for, let alone, you know, get what you need. And your family-owned business, and that's a feel that you get definitely with titles. So
thanks.
you feel comfortable.
So if Anna, if we're talking about the home buying process and we have clients and we've had that ratified contract, and now we're starting to push through and go through the inspections and stuff, which we've talked about in past shows, and we have introduced them to, or first of all, the buyer has the choice of the title company. And to be honest with you, a lot of first-time home buyers, they wouldn't know a title company to choose.
Rely on us.
They do.
They do. And I know we're
to make recommendations.
And we're not supposed to like guide anybody to any one person, so we can tell them, but we can also let you know about our experiences, you know, and say, okay, here's a set of them, and this is my experience with these companies.
Right.
Now you pick.
So they've chosen their title company, and
title?
Yes. what has happened at that point? Once we've made the connection, say, hey, we have some customers that are interested in having settlement with you. We give you all of their contact information, a copy of the contract, so you know, and you take it from there. Walk us through sort of what happens from that point.
Sure, I'd love to. So what we do is once we hear from one of you, one side or the other of the agents, we would get out a contract information form. We get the contract from you, but there's a lot of more information we need. We need contact information for both parties. We need to reach out to the seller and find out information about any loans that they may have, because we want to make sure that we have all that information. That's part of what we do.
Right.
Further in the process of the discussion here, we'll talk about that. But so we want to make sure that we take care of any loans or things that the seller has going on, so that house is clear, and any concerns that anybody has. And then we will contact the buyer if that's what their agent asks us to do, and make any contact with them and make sure we have all the information we need from them. And so then we will also reach out to the lender and make a point of contact, find out who that is. And because the loan officer that the customer works with isn't always the person that we have to deal with.
Right.
And so we like to make the contact with the loan officer and then say, all right, who do you want us to deal with?
And you actually make a really good point right there. And we've told people this time and time again. All of a sudden, we're one happy family because we're all communicating and working with one another. So it's good to know all the players that are in the process.
And that's such an important thing, that you have a good, close relationship with these lenders, because something may come up that you need to let the agents know about. It is great.
And we become then, at that point, once you guys give us that information and we make all those contacts, we sort of become that hub for everyone.
Right.
And so I like to say that we pull all the pieces together, because we do. You've
do,
got all these different factions, and our job is to make sure all that comes together smoothly. We pull all the people, the contract, the numbers, the documents, the inspections, everybody's needs all come together with us. So that's why we try to make sure that we are open to all the communication, get to all the right people, make sure all those communications are working, because sometimes we hear things that, as Anna said, that you may not hear that we are trying to pass on. So
and you sort of get to see everything centrally from both sides. We're really only privy to our buyers' information.
True. That's right.
You know, everything is,
Or
private.
the sellers, and then sometimes the sellers say, oh, I have another, they didn't think they had the one loan, and they forgot about a home equity line of credit they took out, and they're like,
or not only that, it may not be that they forgot. In years past, remember when you used to be able to go get a fence done by Sears or a furnace put in? Well, they would sign an agreement, not understanding, because no one explained it to them when they did it, that was going to be secured against the property.
Okay.
So there's a financing statement secured against the property, and you say, you have a loan with Sears? And they're like, no. And no one ever took care of it. So even though it was paid off, they never knew it was even recorded on the property. So, there is...
So is that something you would handle for them?
Absolutely.
You have to get it cleared.
Yeah, that's part of what goes into the title
Explain that. We keep saying it like it's our everyday thing. Talk about make sure it's clear.
Yeah, so the next thing that we deal with after we coordinate all of that is we order the title search and any inspections you guys may need us to do. Typically, we find nowadays most realtors order the inspections or the people do themselves. So we aren't really necessarily taking care of that part. But we order a title search, and the title search, we actually have an abstractor that works in the courthouse that we have worked with forever. We usually have very good relationships with those people because they're the ones who provide information that is very valuable to us. So we have an abstractor that does nothing but sit down in the courthouse and review land records. And it used to be in books. They'd sit on the table and there's a big old book and all the documents from all the past settlements are in there. So that was kind of interesting. Now a lot of it's online in most places. But they actually search back each deed 60 years to make sure that nothing's going on with that property.
Okay.
Sometimes that can get a little tricky. Estate things. If someone passed away and they split up some property, that could have an effect. Someone has loans on their property they didn't know about. Someone, recorded an easement, which it gives someone else the use to go over your property. Somebody recorded an easement on your property that you didn't know about. All of these kind of quirky things. We have a really good brochure on our website that's called 73 Ways You Could Lose Your Home.
Wow.
It's 73 kooky things that could happen that title insurance can cover you for. So, it's just anything you can imagine that could happen with your title, those kind of things happen. So when that title comes in, we review it then and say, all right, is there anything on here we've got to clear up? Is this really the property they thought they were selling? Because sometimes when you guys send us the contract, they don't have the legal description on there, and there may be two properties in the same county with the same address.
Oh, wow.
Happens. Rarely anymore, but it does happen. Locally, we have some properties that are we recently did a settlement on a property that was located half in Charles County and half in Prince George's County.
Yeah.
So then you got to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one in St. Mary's we did many years ago. So you have to deal with some of those kind of nuances. All of that kind of stuff comes up with the title. So when you say clear,
the Akakeek, Aquasco area,
Right.
Or Brandywine.
Yeah.
Right.
They
Prince
border on
George's
Gigi
or
and
Charles.
Charles.
Right,
So.
right.
And when 100 years ago, when families bought these lands,
Yeah.
they didn't have those borders like
Right.
that.
So when you talk about going back 60 years, I guess the process is a lot different if it's new construction. A house that's just built, is it just the
No.
land development?
Not really.
Or?
And here's why. People have a nuance, a roadblock in their head about that. Well, I bought a new house, so I shouldn't have to worry about it.
Right.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I would be a little more concerned sometimes because you're talking about, particularly in rural areas, a big farm that a family owned and that a builder came in and bought the big farm. What happens if the family, and we did some work on a property in La Plata that was very much this case, the original family owned it for 150 years. The parents died. There was 9 kids. Out of those 9 kids, they all automatically inherited it. Out of those 9 kids, they all, of course, had kids. Some of those kids were deceased. So then their kids owned pieces. Some of those kids were deceased. We had to really, it was like a big puzzle to make sure we had all those people. Because if the builder buys that piece and not every one of those people that have an
Signed off
interest
on it.
signed off, you now have a claim. And if you bought one house in that 60-lot neighborhood, you could have a
So
problem.
clear this up for me. What does
Absolutely.
the title insurance actually do? I mean, if that's the case, how, and this person's claiming I own part of that property your house is built on, how do they clear it? How do they clear it?
So title insurance works this way. First of all, when you go to settlement and you get title insurance, your title insurance is based on the sales price of the property for the owner, and it's based on the loan amount for the lender.
Okay.
They're not going to give you any more than that. It's just like getting insurance on your car. You're not going to get any more insurance
Right.
than what it's valued at. Then what happens is as you if there is a claim and you have a loan against your property, one of the other confusions is a lot of people say, well, my lender got insurance and so I don't really need it. Here's the difference in that. So you got a loan for $100,000 on a house that's $200,000 and you don't get title insurance, the lender's going to be taken care of, but your $100,000 equity is kaput.
Wow.
It's poof if there's an issue.
Your problem.
Right. So let's say we do have the issue that we're talking about, and title insurance is a question. So a lot of things would start to happen. So first of all, you would have somebody would knock on your door and say, hey, I own an interest in that property, and you would pick up your title insurance policy and make a claim. And on the policy, you'd call your title company, us, and we would direct you to make a claim against with the company, and then it's got to go through its little channels, but because they actually start the process. But what happens is, then they contact us. We provide all the information that we used to answer, to have ensure that wasn't a problem. And if that didn't show up in there, then what's going to happen is they're going to the title insurance company is going to do some more research. But basically, at the end of the day, the title insurance company makes the person with the policy whole. Now, will they pay you to relocate? Maybe not. Will they pay this person off whatever the interest is? More than likely, because it's a little more
Right.
practical. So they're going to make that person who has the policy whole. It just depends on what that takes to make
So
that
basically,
happen.
they may say that child of so-and-so that says they own part of this, and they say, I've got a claim to stake on this. Basically, they have a claim to stake off of that land, not
Right.
obviously that house, so
Right.
it's probably going to be,
What would
fair
you be
market
willing to
piece of
take?
land.
Yes.
Yeah, so they
And your
make an offer
percentage,
to them.
even at
Yeah.
that point. So if you may be one of the children that was, not,
Yeah.
20 children, maybe your percentage. So then it would be, it does become a legal issue, but what happens is the title.
Because even all these years I've been doing this, my understanding, because I rely on people like
Right.
you.
Thank you. Well, no, that's what we're supposed to
So,
do.
I didn't even have that total
Right.
understanding of how that. I mean, I have a thought, but
Yeah.
obviously, I wanted to be clear too. So I'm sure buyers,
Yeah.
if someone who does it all the time didn't have that total 100% understanding, I know a buyer's going to be like, "What is this for?"
Right.
Exactly.
It's such an important thing, and people don't.
So,
It really is.
does the cost of title insurance vary based on the value of the house then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's just like any other type of insurance. It's a percentage of the insurance policy. So And the other thing is title insurance, if you buy a lender's title insurance policy, the owner's title insurance is at a reduced rate. So if you buy them together, then you get, excuse me, I said that incorrectly. The owner's title insurance policy is the full value and the lender's is at a much reduced rate.
Okay.
You always have to have your lenders because the lender's not going to loan you money without title insurance. They want to make sure your loan, their loan is covered and always secure.
Right.
I mean, everything we do at the closing is you know, to secure the loan because that's a big amount of money out there.
And it's such an important thing now because of the foreclosures and the short sales, so people don't really know who owned their house before.
Well, and I say that a lot to people now. If never in your life you thought title insurance was important, it's absolutely imperative right now. Between short sales and, you know, people who are doing a short sale, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this, but they still own their property, but they are in distress. And so a lot of things can happen. You know, they could have had a tax lien placed against them, which could affect the title. They could have had a judgment placed against them, which could affect the title. You know, maybe they didn't pay their credit card.
Well, I have a scenario.
Sure.
Speaking of which, I just had one of my, you guys closed it too. One of my clients.
Okay, so let's open
No,
it.
nothing you did. Okay. No, that was a wonderful. All this has been wonderful. Okay, so this is what happened. The other day they got something from the county stating that they needed to do a backflow, which all new to me. I know what backflow tests are, but never thought it would have anything to do with someone's personal house. Okay, usually it's from the street.
What is a backflow?
Okay, backflow is when they want to make sure, basically water is not the water
Pumping
without,
out
because
properly.
we're in the bay areas and critical areas, making sure it's not pushing back into the waters that could go into the bay. Well, this is city water. They got a letter from the county saying that they wanted to do them to do their backflow test, which no one ever told us that was something that needed to be done when they bought this house.
Right.
They had an irrigation system. That's what they need. They have to pay for a plumber to come out once a year and test this backflow system to make sure water's not pushing back into
So the seller that they bought
water.
from.
Yeah, didn't
Didn't
that's the whole
disclose
mess
it?
anyway.
I was gonna say
That's
that.
my just up go to jail.
Okay.
Deal. Okay.
Okay.
So I had twice you guys have done deals with me that I had to go to the jail to get paperwork signed. Just so you know, twice. Nothing to do with you. It's just the crazy stuff I get to do. Anyway,
That's interesting.
how is that? I mean,
Is that covered?
yeah, I don't know.
No, because think about it. It really doesn't affect the title. So if it's not paid,
It's a
county-
disclosure
Yeah.
issue,
But
right?
they can put a lien against the house.
well, but it wasn't then.
No.
And it's not a recorded something that we could search
Right.
to determine
No,
that.
okay.
So
Unless
here's a
there was a
comparison,
lien,
maybe.
then you couldn't
So in a comparison on a simple level, IRS isn't covered by title insurance, an IRS tax lien, if it isn't recorded when we do the title search.
Okay.
So same kind of concept. So if something isn't recorded, now where title insurance comes in is if something's recorded improperly.
Okay.
So if somebody's name's spelled wrong, so it's indexed wrong in the land records, which
Okay.
happens all the time. That's in our
Wow.
73 ways.
Yeah.
You know, Connie Fuchsa is spelled like it sounds, but a lot of people mix up the S and the K. They record it wrong. Somebody does a title search and they don't find it. Then they don't report that in the title, in the chain of title. Then yeah, that could be and that title insurance would cover because it is of record.
Okay.
It's just misrecorded.
So anything that's recorded that you have access to be able to check
Right.
is what would be
Right.
covered.
Or things we have knowledge about. Like if
Okay.
I knew about that and it was getting ready to be a lien, someone talked about it to
yeah,
us,
nobody
then
was
we would
aware about
right.
it.
But if that
Right.
happened and it was, then yeah, it definitely could be something.
Yeah.
So I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So people know that there's more than one title company.
Sure.
So how would you say that you differentiate a title company from another title company? What would make them choose one over another?
I appreciate that. Actually, I welcome the opportunity to talk about that. There are a lot of title companies. There's a lot of competition. There are also, like in any kind of business, there's good and bad. You know, we have some great competitors out here that I welcome being in the business with us. Being in the business for 30 years doesn't mean a whole lot, except for the fact that when you talk about title insurance, if you ask any of the local underwriters that write title insurance what our claims ratio is, in 30 years we've had 5 claims.
I think it
So,
says a lot to
it-
be
that-
in business.
It
30
does.
years.
Well, no, the 5 in 30 years,
Yeah.
that's really impressive.
That's
Well, and the
impressive
other
that
thing
30
is we
years
made it
is.
through the
That's
crash.
So
Exactly.
many of them just
That's right.
disappeared during that.
And I will also tell you that if you go back and ask customers that we've worked with, the things that are important to me are doing things right and making sure those customers, it's not just about, as you said at the beginning, the prize at the end of the day.
Right.
I like to look at us as, you know, if you think about a 5-course meal, we're the dessert. We're the thing that makes you happy because you're going to get your keys. It all wraps everything up. We sort of close. I have a friend who calls dessert closure. So it's closed, you know, it's the closure of everything. It sort of wraps everything together. So not only do we make you happy by giving your keys, but you feel empowered that, one, we've taken care of everything correctly. Two, you knew what was going on through the whole process. We just started a new texting campaign that we are actually going to start texting customers, just basic stuff. But isn't it nice, you know, the 30 days between when they make their loan application to when they go to closing is usually like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Exactly.
Oh my God, what's going on?
You have
What's
a computer.
happening?
You actually have a system where it
Right.
sends out. Or some of them don't have that. They have a system that sends out.
Constantly
okay,
just
this is where
update
you
of
are.
where you are in the
Updates.
process.
Yep, and we're going to
That's a
start
big
doing
deal
text
for
updates
people.
because I think it's a big deal. I
It
think
is,
that's
it is,
important.
it
So
is.
Well, we've already known in the business that that's the number one complaint is
Not
the
enough
lack of
information.
communication. And
Right.
you know, being responsive and professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
So we
I think
talked
those are
about
all the things
And that
we
is a
pull.
big. That's the
Those-
other thing I will say
those
about
three
the
things we
title.
do.
The professionalism is. I mean, when I go to a settlement, whether it's out of office or in office with you, it's so how you present yourself means the world to me. So when I have someone come in, I had a settlement last week, the short sale I was just talking about. They literally, the woman had no clue what she was talking about. And I need someone to, I rely on you guys to explain that. And at that point, I'm lost. You know,
Exactly.
I'm explaining her job to my client,
And
and
that's
that's a
insane.
problem.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
problem.
that's not your.
Yeah.
That's why at the beginning of the show when we were talking about our job is to pull all that together
Yeah.
and to know what's going on. And if
It's-
we don't know what's going
it's
on,
professionalism.
it's
It's
not.
professionalism.
You mentioned something that I think is very important, and I think that we as agents and clients appreciate is you guys travel.
Yes, absolutely.
You will go, so
Absolutely.
you don't, or you're not expected to be in a particular.
We have an office location, both Maryland and Virginia, one in King George and one in Waldorf.
Yes.
That's really convenient for people.
Yes.
Some people like to sit at our office and know that that's there. But that's absolutely not a requirement. I
Right.
mean, we will go wherever you need us to go.
And you
I
service
mean, we have
more
a
than
few
just
limitations.
Southern Maryland
Oh, they
area?
Yeah.
She did. They did James up in Bel Air or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
My
we've been to
sister James.
Chestertown,
They go all
Ocean
over
City.
the place.
We do have some limits. I mean, the western part of the state is a little bit difficult.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
sure.
will get, what I will do though is we will work through every piece of the puzzle with you, and then we'll get somebody to make sure that they sit and answer questions and do things. And that's the other thing that I don't believe in. We do not have notary closers. And it's not that there's not some great ones out there.
What does that mean?
That's what I had the other day.
Oh, okay. Someone
You
who
know, somebody
wasn't
on.
a
And
title
they
professional.
literally come in and explain.
Not all of them do
okay.
explain, and that's
Okay.
what worries me. Okay.
They literally, she didn't explain.
Yeah,
And
most
she
of them
said,
don't.
walks
She was
in
just
and
there
she
to
goes,
hand her
Yeah.
the pen and tell her to
notary.
sign.
I'm
I'm
watching
not-
you sign.
Yeah,
Okay.
she said,
Yeah.
I'm just watching you sign.
And I
basically.
purposely don't do
Yeah,
that because
okay.
I don't feel like it represents us well
Right.
and my mission on what
And
we
what
do.
happens at the table when the client has a question
Yeah.
that
It
they
collapses.
cannot
And
answer?
that's when you better know something
Right.
because that's what
Right.
God
exactly
forbid, your
went
deal's
on.
gonna
I'm the
fall
one
apart.
explaining it, and
So-
that makes me uncomfortable because that's not my
So maybe
job.
that's
So
the
there
one
is some-
advantage of Trib.
So there's some limits on where we go, but we've done some. I had one client in our Virginia office who asked us to go Virginia, like where it borders Tennessee, and I said that's a little bit far.
Yeah.
But we do. I mean, there's we go pretty far. So
Okay.
we can do anything in Maryland
You've
and
been to
Virginia.
Ashburn
So
for
yeah,
me.
absolutely.
I know you do Northern Maryland.
Yeah.
You've done a lot over the
Yes,
years.
I mean Western Maryland's a little bit much.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Ocean City, I have a great partner down there. And when I say I'll get somebody to help us with it, it's another title company that I have a partnership with.
Okay, yeah.
So
Okay.
it's somebody that I know that it does a great job and that will take really good care of my clients and the way I would.
That's awesome.
And so that's really important.
So we're all about setting expectations, and we've mentioned this before, and I just touched on it a little bit just to set people's expectations. Is that new law, TRID, that basically says, full disclosure, you're to be able to see everything on your closing documents 3 days prior to settlement.
Right.
So we always urge everyone that if you get contacted by your lender or the title company to respond as soon as possible because time is of the essence. But that is something that I think that people forget about. We'll tell them at the beginning of the process, and then they forget when we get closer to settlement, where we're sort of asking, have you seen the documents? Have you signed off? Make sure that they're okay, because nobody likes surprises.
Right.
or, you know,
Absolutely.
happen to delay because
Right.
we missed something.
Well, and the sooner you respond to your realtors and your lender on things that they need, the sooner they will send us things we need so we can get this finalized so that
Well, I think
dessert
you
at the end of the day, what can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Dessert. You just experienced that where it delayed something because your person didn't sign what they
Exactly.
needed to sign when they sent over
Right.
their Alta, their
And I'm a
CD
really good
/
nag.
HUD,
I
whatever you want
can
to call
tell
it.
people, don't forget to do that, but if I don't know about it,
Right.
that makes it a little bit difficult too.
The other
so.
thing with the whole TRID thing that I'd like to point out just a little bit is, you know, if you've settled before in the last couple of years, the documents look totally different now.
Yes.
And one of the things that you have to understand as buyers and sellers is your realtors don't have the information that you're getting from your lender.
Yes.
And if you want them to know what's going on, you have to share because
Yeah.
the lender and the title company cannot share because all your personal information's on there now. So that's something that, you know,
Yeah.
it's made it difficult for us to work together
Right.
because
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately the relationship that we have
Right.
used to be that we could, you know, share your
Right.
information
And
with
if-
your
and
realtors
if
so they could make sure it
if
was
they
right.
share it with us and we look over it and see something, we can contact the title company or the lender specifically and ask them, you know, what is this fee or something's missing or something like
right,
that we
right.
get done.
So that's really important for you as
Yeah.
buyers and sellers to be
Absolutely.
aware of what
And
you're
other
getting.
agents that are
reviewing.
watching, be so careful with that you're on top of watching those documents because you need to. I mean,
Yeah.
so we need to go, I need to see, you need to show me this so I can tell you, but
the
so
system's
many
so
people
different.
go, oh, the buyer said it was okay, and they
Yeah.
don't look at it. And
Better
it's
to have
like,
another set of
you get
eyes.
to the
And we
table
sort of
and
know
you're
what we're
like,
looking
what?
at. And I
Yeah.
actually do like the new documents because I'm blind as a bat and you can just see everything. It's so much easier than all the little lines, you know, and things like that too. So did we cover everything that we wanted to cover today?
I think we talked about a lot.
I think we
Okay.
could
A lot of
come
good
back
stuff.
a lot. We could talk about estates. There's so much stuff we could talk about.
Well, I know that you have a lot of great information on your website, and
We
it's
do.
FooteTitleGroup.com, and
It
Foot is with an E.
Right.
And then do you guys have a Facebook page as
We
well?
do have a Facebook page, Foote Title Group. I also have a personal Facebook page. I post on both spots. We do videos 3 times a week. I do a lot of, and it's all informational.
Great
information.
Just
Great.
a lot of the stuff we've been talking about.
Exactly.
And
we just crammed everything that you've done. Like, she's smart. She'll pick one topic and talk about it for a couple of minutes. We like to just like kill it,
Yeah,
right,
we
in
just
one
touched
session.
on a little bit of everything. So
Right.
watch for Connie and
yeah, and the good thing is if you do that and you are looking out on our Facebook page, you'll see a lot of those videos and get a lot more information because
Exactly.
that's our passion is making sure you understand what's going on, you know about the
And that's our
process,
passion,
and to be
and
simple.
that's why we brought you on here
Yeah.
because we're the same. We want to help educate
want it to
people.
be simple.
And I do love Connie does a great job of explaining the terminology in this industry that we get used to and throw around really easy. And the our
Yes.
consumers are like, what does that mean? Or and things. So
absolutely.
she does a great job of doing that. So thank you for joining us today. We
so
hope you
much
come
for
back on a
having
future
me.
episode. I'm sure we can find another topic to talk about.
I would love
You
to.
touched on the states. I just went
Yeah,
through
we could
that.
go
There's
through
so
some-
much information.
Exactly too.
So,
So thanks everybody for
you.
joining us.
Thank
Check
you.
out our videos in our video section on our Facebook page. We've got a lot of great different guests and different topics. And by all means, please give us your comments. Give us ideas for future videos that you'd like to see,
Yeah,
and we'll
please.
do our best to bring them to you. So
Awesome. Thanks
hope
for
you guys
having
have a
me.
great weekend.
Thank
Bye,
you.
ladies. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.